A new era has dawned on Formula One. New teams, new drivers, new regulations, and new cars, where new rivalries are formed and old ones flare up. This is my Formula One 2026 predictions. Let's get into it. So at last place is Aston Martin. Now they had a very underwhelming preseason in both Spain and Bahrain. They complete the least amount of laps among all the teams in preseason, and to top it all off, they are around 4 seconds off the pace from the leaders, which in F1 terms is really bad. That is some Marussia, Caterham, and AHRT levels back in the 2010s. So, and it's unfortunate because like they have two very good drivers in Fernando Alonso, of course, considered one of the best drivers in F1 history, a two-time world champion, and of course Lance Stroll. Despite the hate he gets, he was having a very consistent performance throughout last year. And yeah, to top it all off, they also acquired Adrian Newey from Red Bull, which is probably the most important person in F1 right now. And despite that, they made a travesty. And yeah, for me, like, even if they get back, their ceiling is like at ninth. There's not a lot to gain from this season. And yeah, this might be the season that Alonso retires from the sport. And yeah, there seems to be a curse with Honda engines and him. So yeah, their objective is of course just to survive the season and also to resolve all the Honda issues before going to next season. And next up is Cadillac, the first fully US based team in F1 history. And of course their entry was a bit late, I think around 2 years ago, but they have hired some unbelievable personnel, and especially in terms of drivers, and in both Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, both proven race winners and very good teammates. So it's going to be very interesting to see them work together, and I think because of their background, they are going to perform well, especially with their consistency that is renowned for their respective careers. And of course, like I won't expect too much from them. I think if they were to, for their ceiling might be 8, and if they're really that bad, it will be 11, which I don't think they're gonna be that bad because of how bad the Honda engine is. And of course, because I feel like Ferrari has, even though it's not the most powered one, it is the most ready out of all the engines in terms of like especially fuel. And yeah, their objective this season is just to learn the ropes and get to accustomed to it, the F1 environment and regulations and performances, and also to gain respect from all the teams, because remember they're a new team, and when they applied first as Andretti, they got rejected, and of course all the teams hate them. But yeah, this is a point where they need to gain respect and get good performances from this season onward. Up next is Racing Bulls. Now, why did I put it 9th despite how reportedly good the Red Bull engine is? Well, for me, like it's more down to like their drivers, like Liam Lawson and Arvin Lindblad. Both are still very good drivers, but I feel like the inexperience from both of them will come back to them. And yeah, like their ceiling is still very high, like in 5th, so best of the rest, and the floor is like 10th. But yeah, their objective is basically just to develop both drivers, especially Arvin Lindblad. And yeah, hopefully nothing happens in the Red Bull group in around mid-season. Maybe. Up next is Williams. Now they had a very worrying signs initially, as they didn't even attend the first preseason in Spain, but they managed to get it together and do the last two preseasons in Bahrain. I would say like they have one of the best driver lineups in terms of experience and talent, in both in Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. The teammates will complement each other really well, especially Carlos Sainz, where he had a very phenomenal second half of the season where he scored two podiums, the first podium since George Russell in 2021, although we couldn't really count that because it was in the rain. But yeah, like their ceiling is still gonna be very high at fifth, best of the rest, and their floor is gonna be ninth. And yeah, their objective is of course to catch up on those lost lap times from the time they could have used from that Spanish preseason. And of course, they need to retain the title of best of the rest, as they would finish fifth last year. And yeah, in with the leadership of James Fowles, it looks like it's gonna be a very interesting season for Williams, and with an upgraded facilities and technologies as well in Williams. Hopefully, this will be the start of a very interesting era in Williams racing. Next up is Haas. Of course, Haas, they had a very good season last year. Of course, and especially the most notable person is Oliver Behrman. What a talent! Basically, it looks like his performances at one time when he drove for Ferrari in 2023 in Saudi Arabia wasn't a fluke. And yeah, especially that performance in Mexico where he finished fourth, which is very impressive, especially in a Haas. And yeah, I put them in 7 because I feel like they're on an uphill trajectory from now on, especially with the new partnership with Toyota, or in this case Toyota Gazoo Racing. Of course, the team was very known in endurance racing, and they have won multiple championships, including the Le Mans 24-hour races. And yeah, especially like they have a very good driver lineup as well in terms of Esteban Ocon, who is a very consistent performer, and Oliver Behrman, who is an up-and-coming talent. And yeah, their ceiling, I would say it could be very high. Like they might be an outsider into cracking the top 4 because of the resources that they gain from this new partnership. And their floor is not gonna be too far. Like I think 8 is respectable. And yeah, their objective is of course to take advantage of the Toyota partnership, especially in terms of the budget increase that they're gonna have. Like they have been operating on basically like a shoestring budget since their inception in 2016. And yeah, with this partnership, hopefully with the new facilities and the new balloon budget, they're gonna be a very dangerous team in the years to come. And at 6th is Audi. Now, of course, they used to be called Sauber, but Audi took over the team, and yeah, they announced their addition to Formula One very early on in 2022. So they had years to develop the car and to learn the ropes from Sauber directly as well. And of course, like they took over everything, including like the facilities and the staff, and especially the drivers, both Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto. I think they're a very good pair. They showed last season on what they can do in a very underperforming Sauber, especially Hülkenberg, that we finally get to see him to be on that podium step for the first time in his career in Great Britain. And yeah, if he can do those performances in a Sauber, we can't wait to see him in Audi. And yeah, their ceiling is gonna be they're gonna be might crack the top four and maybe going up against the top teams on like some races that where their cars are favored. And of course, their floor is gonna be ninth because we're not gonna know how certain we are about their performances because they are technically a new team despite they're taking over Sauber's spot. And of course with their team principals and like Johnson Wheatley and since CEO of Ferrari as well, Mattia Binotto, and also James Key as well. Their objective is basically just to show everyone that they're the most prepared team in F1 this season. And yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see, and I'll be rooting for them. Next up is the French team Alpine, and now they had a very underwhelming season. Like they finished dead last with only scoring 22 points. None of their second drivers, both Jack Doohan and Franco Colapinto, even scored a point in F1, which is very bad. And of course, it is due to their Renault engine. It they had a lot of problems during that era, and yeah, hopefully with them switching to Mercedes engines, especially how good the Mercedes engines are reportedly, and of course their new inventions, the car is looking very strong. It seems like they're projected to be best of the rest as well. Hopefully they have a very strong season this year. And yeah, basically their new team principal Flavio Briatore, controversial, but he does produce results. So yeah, their ceilings, of course, they want to fight with the top teams as well. And their floor, I don't think they're gonna drop out that much because it is a very competitive year for the midfield and even the top teams as well. So we never know where these teams are gonna finish, especially with the new regulations. So yeah, they just need to prove that it is the Renault engine's fault and not the management where they sack team principals every 6 months. And of course, Fabio Briatore is to prove that he is once again one of the best team principals in F1 history. Next up, we're gonna get into the top teams, and at fourth place is Red Bull Racing. Now, they were basically limping to fourth place last season, and yeah, despite that, Max Verstappen almost won his fifth consecutive title of his career in a very underperforming Red Bull, which is very impressive, and that just shows how great of a driver he is. And yeah, of course, they sacked Christian Horner, a team principal who has been with them for nearly 2 decades, and it's basically been there since the start of Red Bull. And they replaced him with Lauren Mackies, which is an up and coming team principal from their sister team Racing Bulls, and he's been doing a very good job in managing the team. And yeah, with Isaac Hedger coming up to pair up with Max Verstappen, this is a very promising lineup. But then again, this is Red Bull, so maybe Isaac Hedger will get the same curse as Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, and Liam Lawson as well. Hopefully not. This is like they have a new team principal. I hope they don't lean into Max too much because they do need that second driver to perform really well. And yeah, I don't feel like they are championship material this season, despite how good their engine is reportedly. And yeah, the floor, if they're not careful, they might slip into fifth. And yeah, basically their objective is to win Max Verstappen's his fifth championship, because if you give him a fairly decent competitive car, he will perform and extract the maximum amount of performance from that car. So yeah, that is Red Bull, and we'll see how good Max Verstappen is in the new era. Now at third place, which I would say this is gonna be very controversial, is gonna be McLaren. And yeah, of course they won both championships last year, with Lando Norris winning his first championship after years being in the sport. And yeah, why do I say they're gonna be in third place? Well, because I believe the top two teams are a step better than them. But I'm not saying that they're not far away from them, but they do need to catch up a little bit. But then again, they have the best driver pairing in F1 right now, with both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri competing for the title. His final last season, with Lando Norris being the champion and Oscar Piastri finishing third. And of course, their ceiling is they still have the capacity to win the championship. And yeah, their floor is still gonna be fourth because of how close the top teams are. And yeah, their main objective this season is basically just to balance the papaya rules a bit, because I don't know where they were going from last season. They almost fumbled the drivers championship to Max Verstappen. And yeah, like, they have to handle it very well, and to prevent like another Lewis Hamilton Nico Rosberg situation, where the culture and the environment of the team becomes too much for them to bear, where one of them has to leave. Because I believe like they have a very good relationship, and that last championship really took a toll on their relationship, but they're still very close. And of course, their objective is to also retain both titles, and to maintain that they are the best team in F1. And the runners up, I'm gonna be choosing Mercedes. Now you might be thinking, whoa. Why are you putting them second place? They are the clear front runners to win this championship. And if you say that, and I won't argue with you, because they do seem to be the best team in terms of like the last few years. Especially, of course, you have the master team principal in Toto Wolff, who has a lot of experiences and championships in his belt. And of course, George Russell becoming a very well established driver. Especially, he picked up a few wins in a McLaren dominated season, and also Max Verstappen. And yeah, Kimi Anthony also performed pretty well for like a rookie in his first season. Not Lewis Hamilton performance, but it's still very promising, especially towards the latter stage of the season, where he started to get more top 5 and podium finishes as well. So yeah, their ceiling is gonna be toe to toe with like the first place team, and their floor is not gonna drop too much. I think they're still gonna be like third best team at least. Yeah, their objective is to bring back the Silver Arrows era of the hybrid era in 2014. And yeah, this might be they want to wipe out the memories of the last era, where they started off really bad and they had to spend a lot of resources just catching up. And finally, we get to my prediction for the winner of this championship this year, and it is none other than Scuderia Ferrari. Now, of course, like, this is a team that I really love ever since Schumacher drove for them in the 2000s. And I would say this opinion might be a little bit biased, but I would say in preseason they are the fastest team in compared to like the other teams by 8 tenths of a second, which is a lot in F1 terms. But I know you might be saying that, look, it's just preseason. You know how good Ferrari screws up their season, especially later on. But yeah, I believe like they're under new management. Like Frederick Vasseur is still a very good team principal, and they actually bought some of their engineers from the endurance team who did win a championship last season, and it seems to be working really well, especially with the invention of their new rear wing, which has a very unorthodox design. But I think that might be the reason where they're getting their times. And of course, like especially in the early of the season, looks like for the Ferrari engines are the only one that are approved to have their own fuel, like especially the non carbon emitted fuel. And yeah, it everything seems to be in place for them, especially with their driver lineup: Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. I know Lewis Hamilton had a very underwhelming season last year, but I believe this is the year where both of them will step up and will contend for both titles as well. And yeah, they even if they're not good, I think they're still gonna be third best at most. And of course, their objective is to bring both championships back to Maranello. And I think the last time they did win a championship was with Kimi Raikkonen in 2007. So yeah, this is gonna be their year, hopefully, and none of the Ferrari shenanigans will happen. Hopefully. And finally, we get to the most important bit of the video. Who's gonna be the champion of this year? And my pick is gonna be Charles Leclerc. Now, you might say like, oh, George Russell is gonna win it, Lando Norris is gonna win his title back, and Max Verstappen is gonna win his 5th, or Lewis Hamilton will win a record-breaking 8th. But I believe this is gonna be Charles Leclerc's year, especially how well he did with the Ferrari last year despite its struggles. And yeah, like it's gonna be an amazing story if he actually wins it, and it's gonna be very good for both Ferrari and the sport itself as well. So that's about it. If you like the video, drop a like button and click subscribe if you want more content related to sports. And yeah, feel free to comment your thoughts and your predictions as well. And yeah, see you next time.